Hi all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. I have a disturbing story to share with you that sounds unbelievable. But, as always, I've brought receipts. It started with a stolen weapon that led to a series of events that ended the lives of an Ohio teen and a retired deputy. According to police in Cincinnati, Ohio, a weapon was stolen from a vehicle in the Cincinnati area. Then a vehicle was reported stolen in the area shortly after. As police searched for the stolen vehicle, they spotted it sitting in the rear of a parking lot. So, they used their vehicles to surround the stolen car. And as they did, they said 4 teens jumped out of the car and tried to run. As police chased the teens, one of the officers said he saw the teen he was chasing holding a weapon. Then he said the teen turned and pointed the weapon at him. So he fired at the teen in self-defense, hitting him more than once. With the teen down and officers pursuing the other 3, the officer called for an ambulance. But the 18-year-old succumbed to his injuries. Police later announced that they apprehended 2 of the other teens, but one was still on the run. And they held a press briefing explaining in great detail what occurred leading up to the teen losing his life. They even shared body cam footage from the officer who unalived the suspect, showing exactly how it all went down. The chief of police even made a point of saying that no officers were injured during the incident, because she had no idea what was coming. That all took place on May 1st of 2025. Then, one day later, a retired deputy who just left the police force in December of 2024 was working in an official capacity, helping to direct traffic for the commencement ceremony at the University of Cincinnati. A retired deputy who had nothing to do with the unaliving of 18-year-old Ryan Hinton or the apprehension of the other 2 teens the day before. But as he stood in the street doing his job, trying to help the ceremony go smoothly, he was run down by a vehicle that police say deliberately targeted him. The driver of the vehicle? Rodney Hinton, the father of Ryan Hinton, the teen unalived by police the day before.
Send medical! Send medical! We need this shut down right now! Officer down! Officer down!
In some of the following news clips, it's being reported that Rodney Hinton was left in critical condition after the attack. But he wasn't. He was actually in a courtroom filled with police officers guarding him for his arraignment shortly after. So, he walked away after getting revenge for his son's death, and the deputy lost his life hours later. The deputy is not being named at this time, but may he rest in peace. This is how it all played out.
At these East Price Hill condos Thursday morning, Cincinnati officers tracked down a stolen vehicle.
As you know, we had a critical incident yesterday.
4 people get out and start running. In body cam footage released today, in just 6 seconds, police say 18-year-old Ryan Hinton aims his gun at officers. Police shoot and kill him. Today on MLK Drive, a deputy is working traffic control for UC graduation when a driver crashes into him.
There is a connection between these 2 incidents. The driver of today's vehicle that struck a deputy has a family relationship with the 18-year-old that we shot yesterday.
Chief, is the person who hit the deputy the father of the person who was shot yesterday?
Yes.
Thank you, and I will now invite Teresa Thigi to speak.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Before I start with the presentation itself, I want to say, when an incident like this one that happened yesterday occurs, the impact is felt long after the moment itself. The emotional toll doesn't end quickly. It lingers with the families, the officers, and the community for an extended period of time. Officers across the country confront dangerous situations every day, sometimes more than once a day. They are often compelled to make split-second decisions to protect others and themselves when faced with immediate threats. Yesterday was one of those occurrences. Let me be very direct. We cannot allow individuals to flee from officers with a loaded firearm aimed at them. When this happens, the outcome is almost always tragic. No one wins, and everyone involved is affected. As I review the sequence of events from yesterday, you'll see exactly how rapidly these things evolved, and it will permanently alter the lives of everyone involved. Mom. So to give you an idea, this is 2500 Warsaw. I'm going to step out in front for a minute. Warsaw Avenue is down here. This is the long driveway. It goes up a hill. Where the incident occurred is at the dead end of the parking lot back here. You'll see vehicles there now. You'll see a photo. The stolen car that we're going to talk about was backed into a parking spot back there. As you can see, this is a stolen Kia. You can see we have two uniformed cars there. Prior to those uniformed cars arriving, we had two undercover cars that pulled into that dead end, saw the vehicle. They backed out. They saw that there were individuals inside the vehicle, so they backed out and let the uniformed cars make the approach, which is the tactically sound decision to do. The cars are positioned the way the officers are trained. We are trained to use our vehicles as cover from any threat. That's what those officers did with the cars at that time. This is body-worn camera from officer number 2. Go ahead, Bobby.
Okay, so you're looking at officer number 2, gun drawn, circling around to the Kia behind this trash can right now. We've dropped the audio because we are told there is some cursing, some swearing in this, and we don't want to have that aired. But you're seeing the perspective from this officer approaching the suspect.
All 4 individuals get out and start running, some in different directions. So officers decide which individual they're going to pursue. One officer decides to pursue the individual who we now know had a firearm in his hand. The other officer pursued another occupant that fled from the vehicle, and that'll be significant here in a moment when you see. So this is a still image. Again, I'm going to step out front. The car is parked over this way, okay? They are chasing the individual. So officer number 1 is chasing this guy right here. Okay, this is the guy we ultimately end up shooting. The other officer who actually fires the shot on this individual is chasing a different individual further out this way, in this direction. Okay, as this officer is chasing him, he sees a firearm in his hand and he yells, "Gun, gun," he's got a gun. This individual slips, trips, whatever, falls on the concrete right here. Other officers that were also there say in their interview, they heard the firearm hit the concrete. They heard the metal from the firearm hit the concrete. This individual gets up, still has a firearm in his hand, and continues to run through the dumpsters. Go ahead, Bonnie. This officer knows that there's another officer here that is going to ultimately encounter him when he comes through the dumpsters. So he makes him aware of that. He shouts out to him, "On your right, on your right." He's on your right. And that's where this individual comes out from between the dumpsters. This is the other officer, the one who fires the shot. This is his body camera as he approaches the scene.
All right, again, bringing the audio down here, and this video is not blurred. This is the first time we are seeing this, as well as many of you.
This is a second magazine that was located in his sweatshirt pocket, his jacket pocket. Approximately, we believe, based on timelines, this was stolen from a vehicle in northern Kentucky, and then they went on to steal the vehicle that's involved in the incident. So because we are still attempting to 100% verify the individual's identity, the individual who we shot, we're going to list him as John Doe until we can 100% verify that for you. The other three individuals that were in the car all ran. This was an extensive search for these individuals. I don't know if anybody's familiar with 2500 Warsaw. It is steep terrain, both directions from that parking lot, heavily wooded. They ran into that area in different directions, and we happen to have as hours of the day that we had several canines available and our drone operators available. So we deployed both of those, got some assistance from community members who were calling us, and we ultimately apprehended this gentleman as well as this gentleman. We still have another person we're looking for. We are attempting to positively identify him and will continue to search for him. As you know, per Marcy's law, we're not going to reveal the officers' names, the officers who were involved, but here is their information. Been on almost 11 years, fugitive apprehension, been on almost 24 years, fugitive apprehension. This is the scene afterwards. I want to point out this incident, from the time they bailed from the vehicle and police were chasing them to the time the individual was shot, 6 seconds. 6 quick seconds. But the officer's responsibility didn't end there. They did very admirably trying to save this gentleman's life by administering different variations of medical aid until the fire department responded. And this is the, you can see the medical debris, and then this is where the firearm was. Okay, we'll take a few questions.
The suspect, it was very difficult to see, really shows how volatile the situation is. But it was difficult for us to see if the suspect pointed his gun at the officer or whether he just had a gun and was shot because he had a gun. Can you tell why the officer shot the suspect?
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a frame of reference, the individual is running with a firearm in his hand. The officer is running, so the body camera is kind of jolting as the officer's running. What that leaves us with is a very blurred image, unfortunately. However, based on the officer's interviews, the officer who did discharge his firearm said that when the individual came out between the dumpsters, he had the firearm in front of him. It was in like a bladed position, and it was pointed at the officer. And he felt threatened for his life, and that's why he discharged his firearm.
How many times did the officer discharge the firearm?
We believe 4 or 5.
And hit him.
Okay, so that's Police Chief DG saying about 4 or 5 shots were fired. The other 2 suspects, they showed the pictures there, Austin Jarrell and DeAnthony Bullocks, both arrested. One they're still searching for.
Still searching for, and as she mentioned, it was a very quick exchange, about 6 seconds from the time the officers got out of the car until those shots were fired.
38-year-old man is now charged with aggravated murder after police say he purposely crashed his car into a sheriff's deputy today, killing him.
Yeah, we know that the man's name is Rodney Hinton Jr. and the father, by the way, of an 18-year-old shot and killed by Cincinnati police in East Price Hill yesterday. WLWT News 5's Sean McKinnon breaking down that connection between 2 deadly incidents involving police on back-to-back days. Sean.
All afternoon today, Cincinnati police and the sheriff's department were intensely monitoring the situation here at the hospital. We asked the chief about the direct ties between these two deaths and the family relationship yesterday's victim has with today's suspect. Today on MLK Drive, a deputy is working traffic control for UC graduation when a driver crashes into him.
There is a connection between these two incidents. The driver of today's vehicle that struck a deputy has a family relationship with the 18-year-old that we shot yesterday.
Ryan Hinton's father, 38-year-old Rodney Hinton, is charged with aggravated murder in the deputy's death. He was taken to University Hospital in critical condition. Hours later, the Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy dies. The CPD homicide unit investigating both the death of the deputy killed today and the death of the 18-year-old shot by police.
I can assure you, as the chief of police for Cincinnati, I will ensure you transparency and a thorough and accurate investigation. Thank you.
Multiple guns and extended magazines were recovered in East Price Hill yesterday. An 18 and 19-year-old were in court today facing charges in that incident. A fourth person is wanted. None of the officers' names have been released. Reporting from UC Medical Center, Sean McKinnon, WLWT News 5.
Two families in mourning after an unthinkable series of events.
We need support. Please support us. Please support our deputy.
Was it revenge? Police have now arrested this man and charged him with aggravated murder for plowing his car into a deputy today. His son, a suspect in a crime, was shot and killed yesterday by a Cincinnati police officer.
Make sure that the local prosecutor knows that this should be a death penalty case.
Plus, the outpouring of love and respect by police and sheriff, the thin blue line watching over their brother, and the police chief pleading for peace.
Let the processes play out. Let the investigations play out. Keep calm.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tanya O'Rourke in for Craig McKee tonight. Our team coverage continues as the community mourns a Hamilton County Sheriff deputy killed today in the line of duty. His alleged killer, Rodney Hinton Jr., the father of 18-year-old Ryan Hinton. Ryan, the son, is the man who was shot and killed by Cincinnati police officers yesterday in East Price Hill. Police charged the father, Rodney, with aggravated murder just a couple of hours ago. All of this unfolding as UC commencement was going on. The deputy was outside a vehicle at Martin Luther King and Burnett Woods Drive when Hinton's car plowed into him. We do have multiple reporters working on this story tonight. Alex Null with what led up to this deadly situation, and Sean Delancey was at the hospital where dozens of men and women in uniform mourned his death. We're going to start with Sean. He'll begin with the immediate reaction to this terrible day. Sean?
Yeah, Tanya, it has been a heart-wrenching day for a lot of people in this area, including those who were here when they learned that the deputy had not survived his injuries. Through the procession of people accompanying his body to the coroner's office in Blue Ash, honoring his many years of service to this community.
Led by Hamilton County Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey and Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thigi, dozens of uniformed personnel made their way from UCMC to a packed press conference to announce that the deputy hit by a car at this intersection had died.
I just can't express to you how sad, how incredibly sad we all are, and what an incredibly wonderful and dedicated deputy this man was.
They didn't release his name, but did say he'd retired just a few months ago. He was helping direct traffic around UC's graduation. Officers lined the streets as his body was taken from the hospital in a procession. At the coroner's office, brothers and sisters behind the badge hugged, mourned, stood with the man who died in the line of duty.
Our deputy will not be alone. He is not alone. He will not be alone. There will be someone with him until the day that he transitions to higher ground.
Grief was also met with anger towards Rodney Hinton, the man charged with aggravated murder after hitting and killing the deputy with his car. Hinton's 18-year-old son was shot and killed by Cincinnati police in East Price Hill Thursday morning. I talked to former FOP President Dan Hills about it.
this has made myself and everybody I've talked to is so angry. You know, it's hard to stay professional.
And as you heard McGuffey say, their officers or deputies will be with that deputy's body until he is laid to rest. Details on that have not yet been released.
As you're already seeing an emotional response from the police community tonight for that retired deputy who died just trying to help with traffic.
And we are learning more about him as a person and seeing the massive show of solidarity from officers all across greater Cincinnati. WLWT News 5's Rachel Hersheimer is live in Blue Ash tonight at the Hamilton County Coroner's Office with that part of our team coverage. Rachel?
Mike Cherie, the deputy who was killed, was brought here to the Hamilton County Coroner's Office in Blue Ash. And tonight we are learning so much about this deputy. We learned that he retired just a couple of months ago. We learned that he was loved by so many people, and he was that person that you could count on. Tonight, hearts are heavy as the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office grieves the loss of one of its own.
I just can't express to you how sad, how incredibly sad we all are.
Police officials tell WLWT the deputy who was hit and killed by a driver in Corryville retired from the department last December and was working a special detail today for the University of Cincinnati's commencement ceremonies.
He was so well liked and so well known. We could fill this building with the law enforcement agencies that respect him, love him, his friends, his family.
Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey said it was a Cincinnati police officer who tried to save her deputy's life shortly before he was rushed to UC Medical Center, where he died.
And he worked and did his best for our deputy, and we will forever be bonded.
Hamilton County deputies and other departments standing together for a procession as the deputy's body arrived at the Hamilton County Coroner's Office in Blue Ash, honoring this first responder killed while doing his job. The Cincinnati Police Chief Terry Thigi said the name of that deputy who was killed will not be released at this time because of Marcy's Law, which is meant to protect the rights of crime victims. We're live tonight in Blue Ash. Rachel Hersheimer, WLWT News 5.
Rachel.
Good morning, Mr. Hinton. Good morning. He said good morning, Judge. He's very soft-spoken. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Anything as to probable cause?
Your Honor, we'll waive probable cause this morning. I have submitted designations for John Kennedy and Timothy Bignell. They will be the attorneys of record handling Mr. Hinton's case. I'll be handling the arraignment this morning.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Prosecutor, or anything as to bond?
As to bond, Your Honor, thank you. Your Honor, we understand this is a very, very serious, very terrible charge that Mr. Hinton is facing. He has a risk, but he does not have a history, Judge. He has no felonies in his record. His risk assessment score was a 1. He had no juvenile record. He works at UDF. He's married, he's a father, he's a graduate of Purcell Marion. I understand that this is an emotionally charged situation. I understand that Mr. Hinton's son may have been killed by the police earlier in the week. There was a review of that video. I understand that there is a lot of sadness and a lot of anger in this room right now, but in the community at large. And we just ask the court to set a reasonable bond in light of everything and to allow the constitutional process to play out.
All right. Thank you. Andy, you've given me a pre-trial services sheet. Is that right this morning? All right. The court has had a chance to review that and his past history. Is there anything from the state through the prosecutor?
Yes, Your Honor. Ryan Nelson on behalf of the prosecution.
Could you give us more volume, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Ryan Nelson on behalf of the prosecution. We believe that the evidence will show is that yesterday, on or about the 2nd of May, the defendant was traveling, I believe it would be eastbound on Martin Luther King Avenue at MLK, I believe at Burnett Woods, at the intersection, I believe immediately north to the rear entrance of the University of Cincinnati. The defendant stops his car. The defendant, in a way that was calculated and premeditated, lined up his car, deliberately accelerated his car, and purposely caused the death of an on-duty deputy sheriff who was doing a detail at that intersection. As such, we are going to be seeking indictment for aggravated murder, and we would request, in accordance with ORC 2937-222, for a no bond hearing. That rule requires that hearing be set within 3 business days, so we are seeking to set that date on the 6th of May of 2025. That will be next Tuesday.
Hi, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us here this evening. Gathered to give you an update on an incident that you're aware of, I'm sure happened earlier this afternoon, approximately 1 p.m. We had an auto accident at Martin Luther King, Burnett Woods Drive, where a Hamilton County deputy was struck. He was outside his vehicle conducting traffic enforcement. He was struck by a vehicle. It saddens me tremendously to make you aware that he has since passed. I think what is significant for people to know about this accident is the officer was just out doing his job, directing traffic up near the University of Cincinnati for what was supposed to be a glorious day for many. What is significant also to know about this auto accident, as you know, we had a critical incident yesterday in the city of Cincinnati, an officer-involved shooting at approximately 9 a.m. yesterday morning. There is a connection between these 2 incidents. The driver of today's vehicle that struck a deputy has a family relationship with the 18-year-old that we shot yesterday. So that is currently under investigation by both our homicide unit as well as the traffic unit. Traffic unit and homicide are jointly investigating the traffic accident. Again, it saddens me to report out that we lost a law enforcement officer in the city today, in this county. My heart goes out to his family, to the Hamilton County deputies, and the sheriff and her leadership team standing here with me today, and to all the members of their organization. And with that, I'm going to let the sheriff say a few words.
Thank you, Chief. It is a very sad day, and it's a very sad occasion, and the very first thing I want to do is offer my condolences to the family and friends of our deputy. The men and women, that you see here behind me, all knew our deputy, and he was so well liked and so well known. We could fill this building with the law enforcement agencies that respect him, love him, his friends, his family. We are so deeply saddened. I want to thank the Cincinnati Police Department, Chief Thiegy, her men and women. As I understand it, one of the first people to reach our deputy and render aid was a Cincinnati police officer. And he worked and did his best for our deputy, and we will forever be bonded for that effort. I want to thank the community for paying attention and supporting us. We need support. Please support us. Please support our deputy, who I can tell you, I knew the man, and I knew what a tremendous, tremendous person he is, and what a tremendous loss we have all suffered. Cincinnati Police Department is in charge of this investigation. Therefore, they are the lead agency. They will answer any and all questions regarding any investigation surrounding the death of our deputy. And I just can't express to you how sad, how incredibly sad we all are, and what an incredibly wonderful and dedicated deputy this man was. So thank you very much.
In keeping with the establishment of Marcy's Law, we are not going to be releasing the deputy's name at this time, but I will take a few questions.
Chief, given the relationship to yesterday's shooting, is this the investigation being treated as a homicide investigation?
Right now it is still under investigation to determine exactly what it is, but since a homicide unit was the lead on yesterday's incident, they are involved in a joint effort with the traffic unit on today's incident.
And is there any description of how the vehicle entered the intersection or anything along those lines that can be released at this time?
Yeah, not at this time. Too preliminary at this time. Too early.
We heard that the deputy was recently retired. Is that accurate?
That is accurate. Our deputy had just retired just a few months ago and continued on in service as a special deputy with all of his experience. We were incredibly glad to have him.
Chief, is the person who hit the deputy the father of the person who was shot yesterday?
Yes.
Do you know what the make of the vehicle was that was involved with the incident?
I do not know at this time.
Will there be a procession, Sheriff?
Yes, we will have a procession. I can tell the public and all of law enforcement out there that our deputy will not be alone. He is not alone. He will not be alone. There will be someone with him until the day that he transitions to higher ground. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Real quick, I do want to, one last comment. So this community, not just the law enforcement community, but this community in our city and our county has had 2 critical incidents in 2 days. I do have a plea to everybody. Let the processes play out. Let the investigations play out. Keep calm, take care of one another, and I can assure you, as the chief of police for Cincinnati, I will ensure you transparency and a thorough and accurate investigation. Thank you.